Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's oration, that is HPS Dr. MAM KHAN oration. This year, we have nominated Dr. Prabhakar Korada sir for this oration award. Now, I request HPS President to come onto the dais. Sir, Dr. Rajesh sir, please come onto the dais. I request Dr. Anup to welcome our President with flower. Pots. Welcome plant. Now I request today's chairperson, Dr. Harihar sir, to please come onto the dais. I request Dr. Harish to welcome Harihar sir with plant bouquet. Pot. Now I request today's another chairperson, Dr. Nagender sir, to please come on to the dais. I request Dr. Nitin to welcome sir with bamboo plant. Now I request today's speaker, Dr. Prabhakar Korada sir, to please come on to the dais. And I request Dr. Harini Aturi ma'am to welcome him with the bamboo plant. I once again welcome you all to today's oration. Now I hand over the proceedings to our President, Dr. Rajesh sir. So please take over.
Welcome all for today's Dr. MAM KHAN Oration Award. Firstly, I would like to say a few words about Dr. MAM KHAN. Dr. Muhammad Abdul Majid Khan, he was born in the year 1935 and he graduated from Usmania Medical College in the year 1959. And he worked in government service for about 2 years. And in 1961, he moved on to UK to pursue higher studies in psychiatry. He came back to India in the year 1966. Then he started the famous city nursing home in the year 1970. Then he also went on to pursue some higher studies in Australia and New Zealand in the year 1975. And he was actually the head of the department in Deccan College for a period of 10 years, and later on he went on to become a professor emeritus. And he was awarded Lifetime Fellowship Award in the year 2012 in Chicago, and for his human service throughout his tenure. So we all know him. He has done a lot to the patients, and also he was a regular columnist in the daily Siyasat. It was very famous. And also he was a columnist in Hindu newspaper also. Finally, he passed away in the year 2015, leaving behind a rich legacy. And now the city nursing home is being taken care of by Dr. Usman Ali and Dr. Devar Madam. He has 2 daughters. They are living abroad. And in his earlier Dr. MAM KHAN Oration Award was called HUTS Award. Later on in the year 2018, in his fond memory, the award name was changed to Dr. MAM KHAN Oration Award. And in the year 2018, Dr. G. Prasad Rao sir was nominated for the award. And in 2019, Dr. Anurag Srivastava was awarded. And in year 2020, Dr. Gauri Devi madam. And in 2021, Dr. Ashok Alim Chandani sir. And last year, Dr. Ashok Reddy sir was nominated. This is in brief about the award which is being regularly conferred by Hyderabad Psychiatric Society. And now I hand over the proceedings to Dr. Harihar sir.
Office bearers. Raghu. Ajay. Reni ma'am. Please join. Yeah. Sir, Dinesh sir. Yeah. Ajay వచ్చాడు. Ajay. షాల్ ఒక్క నిమిషం షాల్ చేతి ఫోటో దిగిన తర్వాత ఓపెన్ చేసి చదువు ఫస్ట్ ఫోటో ఒకటి తీసి ఓపెన్ చేసి చదివిన తర్వాత మనం సార్ కూర్చొని ఉంటారు సార్ కూర్చొని Now I request Rajesh Nagender sir to hand over the citation to today's speaker. Yeah, I open this. Yeah, I'll do it. I request Nagender sir to please read out the citation.
It's my honor to read citation of my closest friend, Dr. Prabhakar Korada. So he is Professor Dr. Prabhakar Korada. Dr. Prabhakar Korada was born in Rangoon, Burma on 1st of December 1950 to Korada Sushila and Suryanarayana. The military coup in Burma in 1962 had made the family live with only their personal belongings to settle in Hyderabad, India. The Chicago addresses by Swami Vivekananda had created a deep impression on his young mind. Prabhakar completed his school education through Sacred Heart High School, Rangoon, St. Patrick's High School, Secunderabad, and pre-university course at Nizam College, Hyderabad. He studied MBBS in Bellary Medical College, Karnataka. He specialized in psychiatry through DNB from Osmania Medical College. His contribution to the field of psychiatry is largely in the area of Indian concepts that are relevant to behavioral sciences. His presentation of the Guna personality, the ideal personality at the Indian PM's Yoga Festival at Chandigarh in 2016 was well accepted and was published in the Integrative Medicine International by S. Kargar AG. It will remain etched in psychiatric literature as a contribution of Indian through to basic psychology. He was the professor and head of the Department of Psychiatry at the Mallareddy Institute of Medical Sciences, Hyderabad, and a member of editorial board of a few prestigious journals. He was also an active student and youth leader. He is associated with some socio-spiritual organizations and is the founder of Savadhan and Squirrels, which work to motivate the youth towards national building activities, taking inspiration from Swami Vivekananda's practical Vedanta. He was the president of Hyderabad Psychiatric Society in the year 2006. During his tenure, he has designed the current logo of HPS. He will be remembered as the last president of the undivided AP state branch of Indian Psychiatric Society in 2014 and 15. Dr. Korada is multi-talented. He was a dramatist with several awards to his credit, singer and published author. The latest noteworthy publication being The Coming of Kalki, which is under preparation for his second edition. He has also written and published a 750-page English novel titled Palmful of Diamonds. He holds some interesting views. According to him, the indiscriminate dependence on the philosophy of ahimsa is bound to doom the nation. Hyderabad Psychiatric Society is proud of him. Thank you.
Now I think we'll proceed with the oration. I request Dr. Prabhakar to start his presentation. Yeah.
I thank Dr. Rajesh Ayyala Somayajalu, the President of Hyderabad Psychiatric Society, and Dr. Fanikant, the General Secretary of Hyderabad Psychiatric Society, and their dynamic team for giving me this opportunity and bestowing this honor to me. With utmost humility, I accept this award with gratitude towards one and all my predecessors, my seniors and my colleagues. I thank you all very much and I hope to do justice for today's oration. On this occasion, we remember Dr. MAM Khan, our friend, philosopher, guide and a mentor to many of us. With humility again, I dedicate today's oration to the memory of Dr. MAM Khan. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is Shanti mantra from Krishna Yajurveda Taittiriya Upanishad. This is usually recited in chorus by two participants or two groups who join together to share their knowledge. It says, Om, may it protect us both, may it nourish us both, may we both work together with great energy, may our study be enlightening and fruitful, may we never hate each other. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Meanwhile, I feel very happy to recognize the presence of my teacher, Dr. Raghuram Reddy. Thank you, sir. The topic for today's oration is Indian perspective of behavioral sciences. The background to this topic is modern behavioral sciences has seen tremendous growth in the last half a century. Psychopharmacology has made gigantic strides beyond the possible imagination of the earlier generations of mental health professionals. The subject of psychiatry records hitherto unknown signs and symptoms in the area of psychopathology. Yet, there is something missing. The concept of the mind, the concept of the self, the reality of death, the concept of the ideal personality, these topics have never been covered in the psychiatry or psychology we studied, or at least not to a satisfactory extent. We have taken it upon ourselves as a professional right to pronounce abnormality without offering a satisfactory explanation of what constitutes the normal. The lacuna needs to be addressed. This is where the Indian theories and concepts play a role. The subject matter is borrowed from the vast literature available in the Shrutis and the Smritis. Shrutis are extra-human knowledge gained from extra-human sources. They say that great rishis in the depth of their tapasya had perceived the Vedas. Vedas were never written by anybody. They perceived the Vedas and then they recorded it in memory and passed it on from generation to generation. So the Vedas are Shrutis of extra-human origin. Smritis are recorded literature such as Ramayana by Valmiki, Mahabharata and the Puranas by Vyasa. They are recorded by human beings. The aim of this presentation is to bridge the gap between the objective studies of the Occident. Though we criticize the West for some of the flaws in the basic psychology, we must accept that the West had done a tremendous amount of work in the areas of psychopharmacology and psychopathology. But it needs to be tempered with the spiritual observations of the Orient. The Occident and the Orient have to jointly work together so as to make the subject of the behavioral sciences richer, complete and more meaningful. The unique caveat is most Indian literature is intricately interwoven with religion. It is very difficult to identify which is a religious stanza and which is a technically correct scientific stanza. So at times it becomes difficult to separate the two. For example, some slokas on Lord Krishna have been decoded by academicians as mathematic formulae revealing the value of pi up to 31 decimal points. So now which is Lord Krishna, which is the calculation, it is difficult for us to identify on the spot. It requires scholarship at a higher level. Another example is that of Dandi Bhatla Vishwanatha Shastri. He was a Pandit from Rajamandri. He was kidnapped, or we presume that he was kidnapped by the German agents and taken to Germany, where he was made to translate Kanadi Maharshi's Anuvijnana Shastra. This knowledge is believed to have later reached America through Albert Einstein. That there are advantages as well as disadvantages in coding technical facts into religious slokas. To code technical facts into apparently religious verses is an advantage for the long-term survival of knowledge as well as the culture of the population. But it is also a disadvantage because those with a bias against religion would shy away from the subject, denying themselves the wealth of knowledge that is available in these sources. Our chief task is to gently extract the scientific truths from the apparently religious or at times seemingly superstitious observations without disturbing the whole. This requires an unbiased mind and the capacity to interpret the ancient literatures in an abstract sense. With focus on basic psychology, we shall consider the following: the ancient Indian theories and concepts, the theories of body-mind complex such as the Panchakosha theory and the Chakra theory, the concept of self as the infinity, the personality theory based on the gunas, the list of the 16 types of personalities in the Indian literature, to propose the concept of the ideal personality as the paradigm in the study of personality disorders. The Panchakosha theory, body-mind complex, we have two main theories, Panchakosha theory and the Chakra theory. The concept of self is that will come later. Gunas are personality traits, we will discuss it later. The concept of ideal personality too. The source, as I said, is from the Shrutis, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. Now we will discuss about the Panchakosha. The Panchakosha theory is found in the second chapter of Anandavalli of Yajur Veda, Taittiriya Upanishad. So in Yajur Veda, you find Taittiriya Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad, there are three chapters: Shikshavalli, Anandavalli, Bhriguvalli. Anandavalli is the chapter which contains Panchakosha theory. It literally means the 5 sheaths. They are Annamaya Kosha, the anatomical layer, that is our gross physical body. Pranamaya Kosha, the physiological layer, breathing and the autonomic nervous activities. Manomaya Kosha, the psychological layer or the emotional layer. Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellectual layer, and the Anandamaya Kosha, the deepest core, the cosmic bliss. Here is a figurative representation. Annamaya Kosha represents the gross physical body. Below that is energy, the Pranamaya Kosha. Then comes the emotional Kosha, Manomaya Kosha. Then comes the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellectual Kosha. And the Anandamaya Kosha. The moment you conquer the outer 4 layers and you reach Anandamaya Kosha, you experience absolute bliss. The first Kosha is Annamaya Kosha. The first and the outermost sheath is the Annamaya Kosha. Annam in Sanskrit means food. This is the gross physical body that is sustained by food. It is the anatomical sheath. The Pranamaya Kosha, this comes under the physical body. Its function depends on respiration and all physiological activities, mostly autonomic nervous system. Broadly referred to as the life forces. This is the physiological sheath called the Pranamaya Kosha. Go a little deeper to the third step. Next to the Pranamaya Kosha is the emotional sheath called the Manomaya Kosha. This sheath sustains itself with and by emotions. The fourth Kosha or the layer is called the Jnanamaya Kosha. Jnana means knowledge. It is also called Vijnanamaya Kosha. The fourth sheath is the intellectual sheath or the sheath of knowledge. It sustains itself through pursuit of knowledge, secular, spiritual, technical, etc. The innermost core is the Anandamaya Kosha. It can be awakened only after the conquest of the outer 4 sheaths. This is called the sheath of bliss absolute, called the Anandamaya Kosha. Some sources claim the 6th and 7th koshas also, but we will leave it at that, it is too deep. Anandamaya Kosha, the cosmic joy. So once you conquer the physical body, its physiology, its emotions, etc., then we enter into the deepest portion of our personality, that is Anandamaya Kosha. We experience nothing but cosmic joy, nothing but bliss, absolute bliss. This is very important. Gross and subtle bodies. Under the Panchakosha theories, we should try to understand how many types of bodies we have got. Now we are existing here, identifying each other here as the Annamaya Koshas, as the gross physical. After the gross physical, these gross physical bodies, under the gross physical bodies, you will find subtle bodies. That is, Sthula Sharira is the gross physical body, Sukshma Sharira is the subtle body. The next three layers, namely the physiological, the psychological and the intellectual together form the subtle body. Then the innermost Karana Sharira, it is a causal body. So we have three types of bodies. When we die or anybody dies, it is the Sthula Sharira that dies and not the Sukshma Sharira. The Sukshma Sharira, with its part of the physiology, it continues to travel as per its karma into different planes of existence. Actually, if you look at it from the Western point of view, their concept of death is a little crude, because they perceive death as complete degeneration of the physical body eaten by worms or burnt out. But under the Vedic philosophy, we find the three bodies, the Sthula Sharira, it deteriorates, it degenerates. And then the Sukshma Sharira, which consists of the physiological, psychological and intellectual together, it never dies. The Sukshma Sharira travels on. The Karana Sharira is the causal body which causes all this. At death, only the first two layers, namely the anatomical and the physiological sheath, disintegrate. The other three layers, namely emotional, the intellectual and the causal, remain unaffected to continue the journey of karma. It means the psychological and the intellectual components along with the bliss factor of a living being continue to survive even after physical death. It means that there is no death for the human beings. Point of view, from the yogic point of view, there is no such thing as Sharira, and the personality does not die. The personality continues its journey. According to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whose lecture I had heard in the Ramakrishna Math about 30 years ago, he was dealing with the subject of death. He says that the process of dying, the process of death, is a highly pleasurable experience to the dying person. Mind you, to the dying person, not the survivor. Survivors suffer from the separation. So, the process of death, the process of the gross physical body separating from the subtle body is a highly pleasurable experience. I use this knowledge in counseling parents who have lost their children in accidents. They are torturing themselves, how much he must have suffered, how much he must have suffered. Then I tell them, according to Dalai Lama, this is how it is, that experience is a pleasurable experience. Then they feel relieved. The chakra theory. Under the body-mind complex, we have discussed the Panchakoshas. Now we will discuss the chakra theory. The word chakra in Sanskrit literally means wheel. A chakra is a non-anatomical hypothetical energy center. There are around 1002 such energy centers in the human body. Acupuncture takes advantage of these centers. The most important among these are the 7 chakras located in the region of the head. A straight line from vertex to perineum, an imaginary line. In this line exists the Shat chakra, the 7 chakras. This is the 7 chakras. You please make a mental record of this figure, because at the very first sight of it, you might be tempted to say the artist is very good and he has chosen such beautiful colors and his sense of colors is very nice. You can appreciate that. But no, it is not choice. The colors are inherent. Each color has its wavelengths, and colors are related to light. And these centers can be influenced, either suppressed or stimulated through sound and through colors. For example, if you expose these centers or to the individual with jazz music, rock and metal, the lower centers get stimulated and the person starts dancing and drinking and fighting also. So, but if you expose the same person to light music, classical music, whether Indian or for Western, does not matter, the symphonies, it calms the person, it soothes the person's nerves and he becomes calm. So each, now we start from below upwards. The first chakra is red colored, it is called Mooladhara chakra. Mooladhara chakra deals with survival. We are just like when Mooladhara chakra is controlling us, we are just like mice running around the whole day for food, running around the whole day for food and all the time afraid of enemies. They need protection. So survival techniques are maximum if the Mooladhara chakra is stimulated. When an individual develops a little higher after his infancy, then he goes to the Swadhisthana chakra, which is orange colored, and here comes the sexuality aspect. There is no sexuality in Mooladhara, it's only survival. Above that, sexuality develops and a person looks out for companionships. Then comes Manipura. Manipura is at the solar plexus, what we call epigastrium, is yellow in color. It deals, when Manipura predominates, the person becomes ambitious and tries to accumulate wealth, etc., for the survival of himself and his family. Above that comes the green center, which is called the Anahata center. When Anahata is predominates its action, then the person becomes altruistic, poetic. Once this aspect is conquered, he goes higher to the blue chakra, which is called the Vishuddha. It has to do with intellect. Then higher the Agneya chakra. Agneya chakra is between the eyebrows. When Agneya chakra is stimulated, the person becomes highly intellectual and spiritual also. It is very difficult to cross beyond Agneya chakra for normal people like us, but for yogis, when they reach Agneya chakra, from there they can transport their Kundalini Shakti to the higher chakras called the Sahasrara chakra. Please note, the Sahasrara chakra is on the vertex, yes, but it is not inside the crown, skull. It is inside plus outside. So it is not a physical structure. It is an energy center. So we start from the gross physical nature as survival, then sexuality, then ambition, then altruism, then finally comes the Sahasrara chakra, attainment of samadhi. They say that once the Sahasrara chakra is fully stimulated, a person does not live long, means he goes into a state of samadhi. Please remember this figure. Earliest mention of chakras, it finds mention in the Brahma Upanishad, which is part of Krishna Yajurveda. It is also mentioned in the Yoga Tattva Upanishad, which is attached to the Atharva Veda, also described in Tantra literature. The Western authors, I must appreciate here, many Western authors have done a lot of research. Sometimes I feel probably they have done more research than we Indians, because they take it very seriously. Western authors are translation by Arthur Avalon, alias John Woodruff, The Serpent Power, Ring Bearer's Diary by Peter Gerolf, Wheels of Life by Enodia Judith. Same thing. Now you will find Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha and Sahasrara. You are, apart from the different colors, the same colors are being carried, you are finding some letters, alphabets. These are sound symbols of basic sounds, lam, vam, ram, yam, hum, om and om. So this needs expert interpretation. I am not an expert in the subject. So Mooladhara chakra is just above in the perineal region, I have told you. Then the next chakra, Swadhisthana, it has to do with sexuality and naturally genitals. And like this we go on. Finally we go to the crown, where there is formless supreme light, almost in the stage of samadhi. Here we will not go into the details, it is too lengthy. What I wish to point out is, this is by a Western author obviously, because he has given do, re, mi, la, fa, so, la, ti, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, pa, da, ni. So there is a lot of scope to study the effect of sound on these chakras. You can stimulate or you can suppress. And here the author has even marked the organs related to the chakras. For example, L5 to S5, lumbar and coccygeal plexus, then adrenal glands. Then like that it go on. We come to the cardiac plexus, we come to the pharyngeal plexus, and we come to the carotid plexus, and then finally to the crown. And here again the colors are maintained: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and usually it's indigo to white. The same thing, Mooladhara chakra, red color, lam is the sound, and here the person spends most of his time in searching for food and protecting himself. Then comes vam, Swadhisthana, sexuality. Then comes Manipura, ambition, inspiration. Then comes Anahata, this is altruism. Then Vishuddha, philosophy. Agneya, perception and intuition, they are differently worded, and spiritual awakening. Another point of view, the same thing, I am repeating it: survival, sexuality. From survival, you go to sexuality, from there you go to power as you develop, then you go to Anahata, love, communication, intuition, spirituality, and then samadhi. So here, the last slide on this subject is Mooladhara, red color, then associated with the sounds that we have already discussed. So this, you can just make a mental picture of it. Then each chakra is also associated to a planet and a deity. This may be understood as qualitative descriptions that are outside the domain of behavioral sciences. So we cannot touch the subject that is purely religious. So I am mentioning it here only for the purpose of completion. So we can also compare Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the chakras. Same thing, from gross to subtle. Maslow travels from fulfillment of physiological needs, then security, social esteem, and then self-actualization and corresponding chakras. Now we talk about energy flowing. What is this energy? The energy that we talk about is called the Kundalini Shakti, is a dormant primal energy conceptualized as a coiled snake Thank you. It is broadly analogous to the concept of libido. It travels up and down through the Ida, Pingala and the Sushumna nadis. This is extremely important, the Ida, Pingala and Sushumna nadis. Please remember, because I am going to show you something which you might be a little surprised. As the personality evolves from the basic needs to a higher altruistic state, this Kundalini rises to the higher chakras. The primal energy Kundalini travels through the Ida, Pingala and the Sushumna nadis, which today are represented as the two snakes and the central staff in most medical logos of modern medicine. In fact, we have even in our Hyderabad Psychiatric Society the logo, two snakes. It has nothing to do with snakes or the poison of the snakes. It is a symbolic presentation of the concepts of energy meridians, the nadis, namely the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The caduceus of Hermes. Now you are finding two snakes and a staff. This is adopted by the Western system. Even the American Defense Forces have adopted two snakes on their badges, but they do not know what is the meaning. If you ask them what is the meaning of these snakes, what does it have to do with the army or the medicines, they cannot explain. The explanation that is given by them is two poisonous snakes were fighting to kill each other, and the Italian god of Hermes, that is, it is called Mercury, in Buddha in Sanskrit, threw a staff or an instrument to stop the snakes from killing each other. This is a very crude explanation. Now let us see what is the explanation that our Indian science gives. Please focus on the three meridians. To the left of the figure, you find a blue meridian. It runs from the left nostril to the left testicle. Then the right of the figure, you find a yellow meridian. It travels from the right nostril to the right testicle. And in the center, you find a white meridian. This is analogous to the spinal cord. Now, the blue meridian is parasympathetic and yellow meridian is sympathetic. Energy, Kundalini energy flows from these two nadis into the Sushumna nadi, which is analogous to the spinal cord. So finally what happens? It is the balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic activity that is necessary for good health or good health care. And that is the actual meaning of this logo, which was borrowed and twisted, and I do not know what other word we can use, but this is the actual expression. The caduceus of Hermes, the inner meaning is this, that there should be for good health, there should be a balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, so that the autonomic function is balanced. These channels are known as Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. Ida energy, that is the blue one which you have seen, its left side, it's blue in color, parasympathetic, feminine. If you stimulate Ida energy, Ida channel, the person starts crying, runs from left nostril to the left testicle. Pingala energy, yellow, sympathetic, masculine, runs from right nostril to the right testicle. As you can make out, neither Ida can predominate nor Pingala can predominate. It's only when both are both balance each other and the energy flows to the vertebral column, spine. Sushumna energy channel corresponds to the spinal cord. Only when there is a balance that is maintained, there we can expect good health, and that is the symbol of health according to the Vedic sciences. This is Hyderabad Psychiatric Society, so we have used the same two snakes. We can from now onwards remember at least that it is parasympathetic and sympathetic, and the Sushumna nadi, spinal cord, is given as a cross section like a dot. I feel very humble and proud to say that this was designed by me when I was the president. So clinical possibilities and scope for research. Research in sound, music therapy, research in chromotherapy, light therapy, etc. are theoretical possibilities, hypothetical. Concept of the self. Now it's a very important subject. There is no clear concept of the self in any school of thought. The subject is abstract. Adi Shankaracharya, the 8th century monk and philosopher who brought about the renaissance of the Advaita philosophy in the subcontinent during the time when Buddhism was at its peak, had given the most satisfactory explanation on the subject of the self through his composition, the Nirvana Shatakam. The Nirvana Shatakam consists of 6 shlokas. The first 5 shlokas, Adi Shankaracharya, when he is asked about the nature of self, he follows the denial mode, like I am not this, I am not that. He continuously says for the 5 shlokas. At the end, the 5th shloka, he affirms what he is. Please focus. Adi Shankaracharya, sorry. Adi Shankaracharya followed the tradition of negation that is part of the Sanskrit literature and practice. He first tells us step by step what he is not, and finally concludes unambiguously as to what he is in the 6th and the last shloka of his Nirvana Shatakam. The first shloka says, Mano buddhyankara chittani naham, nacha shrotra jihve, nacha grana netre, nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayuhu. I am not the mind, I am not the intelligence, I am not the ego, I am not the intellect, I am not the sense of hearing, I am not the taste, nor the smell, nor sight. I am neither the sky, nor the earth, nor light, nor the air. This goes on for the next 5 shlokas. Adi Shankaracharya continuously says, I am not this, I am not that. But then what is he? Adi Shankaracharya says, Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupo. I am without variation and without form. Vibhutva cha sarvatra sarvendriyanam. I am present everywhere, the substratum of all matter and organs of perception. Na chasangatam naiva muktir nameyaha. I have no attachments, nor am I free from anything. Chidananda rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. He affirms, I am existence, I am knowledge, I am bliss absolute, I am infinity, I am infinity. The word Shivoham should be understood in its abstract sense. Shiva means infinity, it is not personalized Shiva. So this is the concept of the self, which is not different from the cosmic consciousness. The quality of the self is bliss absolute, its capacity is limitless. This concept of limitlessness may appeal to psychotherapists. The theory of the gunas. Gunas are qualities that are applied in the description of personalities, nature or food, and may be termed as traits. Guna theory is the mainstay of the Samkhya philosophy. It is considered the rational theory of Samkhya. It has later percolated into all schools of thought such as the Nyaya and the Vaiseshika. It finds mention in the Upanishads. The gunas are described in the Bhagavad Gita also. These are the 3 gunas. Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. Sattva guna is self-explanatory, you can see by the facial expression itself. Calm, sober, non-aggressive, non-invasive, non-hateful. Whereas Rajas, purely Rajas, they are aggressive, conquering, and they can be very punishing also. It suits the defense forces, whereas that suits the saintly professions. And tamas, it does not require any explanation, we all know it. Guna classification of personalities. According to the Guna classification of personalities, we have 16 personalities. Compared to ICD-10, I think we have about 9 or 10 personalities. The plus one is for the ideal personality. I have added one. So these are the ICD-10 classifications, different personality disorders: paranoid, schizoid, antisocial, borderline, histrionic, obsessive compulsive, avoidant, dependent, etc., narcissistic. We have here the 16 types of personalities according to Indian thought. Let us first understand the Sattvic personality, the Rajasic personality, and the Tamasic personality. Sattvic personality more or less are idealistic. They are calm people. Again, you must understand that there is no single person who is purely Sattvic or purely Rajasic. It depends upon the proportions. So when we look at Sattvic personalities, first comes Brahma, they are godlike. Arsa, like the rishis, disciplined, self-absorbed. Aindra, like Indra, happy, extrovert, brave. Yamya, like Yama, detached action. Varuna, sober and conservative. Kauvera, fond of luxuries, recreation. And seventh one is Gandharva, fine arts and singing, dancing, etc. These come under the Sattvic personalities, which are more or less harmless. Rajasic personalities, which is more applicable to rulers. If you look in the past 5 or 10, even 10 centuries, you will find all these Rajasic personalities dominating the ruling systems. Asura, they are demonic. Rakshasa, they are cruel. Paishacha, devilish. Sarpa, snake-like, quick reactions. Praitha, glutton, greedy. And Shakuni, you are familiar with the Shakuni in Mahabharata series. He is scheming in a group or treacherous. And Tamasic are something like this cannabis indica people, chronic cannabis indica users. They become very dull and vegetative. That is, anyway, there are different types. Pasana, animal-like, somnolent, excessively sexual. Matsya, fish-like, unstable, wrathful and irritable. Vanaspatya, vegetable-like, dull and vegetative. Qualities of the gunas. Sattvic persons, they are calm, altruistic. You remember the figure that I shown you. Place others before self. They are at peace with themselves and with the society. Rajasic persons, they are controlling, ambitious, dynamic, may be selfless if the Sattvic component is well balanced. But if the Tamasic element is strong, then they may become aggressively cruel, just as many kings in history proved themselves to be. So there are some very good kings with a lot of influence of Sattva in them. There are very bad kings who have got a lot of influence of Rajas or even Tamas. So they can be extremely cruel. Tamasic patients, they are dull, dependent on others, cunning, scheming and have no drive in them. They may end up being jealous, destructive and unproductive. The admixture of the three gunas makes a personality. No individual is exclusively Sattvic, Rajasic or Tamasic. The predominance of one guna over the other two qualifies them to be identified with that guna. Depending upon the ratio of combination, any number of individual types of personalities are possible. Just imagine the basic color. There are only 3 basic colors, but we find millions of shades. So similarly, musical notes, 7 musical notes, we find millions of songs. Each one is different from the other. Classification of food as per the gunas. The food we partake is also classified into the 3 gunas. The type of food that we consume regularly influences our thoughts. Our thoughts, feelings and consequently our behavior and personality. Sattvic food, simple vegetarian food that is non-pungent, non-spicy and freshly prepared. Rajasic food, non-vegetarian food such as meat, fish and eggs that is loaded with spices. Tamasic food that is stored, stale and fermented, that includes beer and whiskey too. Quality of food influences personality. Food influences behavior and personality. Regular consumption of food chosen for therapeutic purposes may help in altering certain traits. I don't know, in future we never know, that mental institutes may take up this idea of giving specific type of food to specific type of patients. For example, sattvic food for an aggressive person may make him calm in the long run. Rajasic food for a dull and lethargic person may make him active over a period of time. What is normal personality? We discuss so much about personality disorders, but we have not been, we have not yet been able to lay down the criteria for a normal personality. The guna theory of personality may solve this problem. The personalities in the sattva category, such as the Brahma, the Arsa, the Indra, etc., may satisfy the criteria for normal personality. Concept of an ideal personality. Neither do we have a paradigm while studying the personality disorders. This is a lacuna in our science. Some academic and quasi-spiritual sources elaborate the qualities of an assumed ideal personality in accordance to their individual value systems. But this leaves room for bias. It's only the Indian theories that offer such a concept in unambiguous terms. All individuals, howsoever good their traits may be, are still tainted with the gunas. Just because a person is purely sattvic or nearly purely sattvic, it does not mean that he is perfect. Even a positive trait can bind an individual and become an impediment in his spiritual journey. Only such individual who remains above and untouched by the gunas is said to be an ideal personality. A guna personality. Such a state is called the nirguna state, and the individual is addressed as gunatit. Nirguna is only an idealistic way of thinking, because according to me, nobody is free from the gunas. Even the best of persons, they have an admixture of other gunas. So this is the concept of the ideal personality. This concept may be considered as the paradigm in the study of personality disorders. A guna personality, concept of the ideal personality. I had presented this at the Indian PM's International Yoga Day, Yoga Fest, Chandigarh 2016, published as an abstract in the Integrative Medicine International by Kargar A.G. Baisal. The link is available. Qualities of an ideal personality: remains uninfluenced by the gunas, abandons all mental desires, he is self-absorbed, undisturbed by distress, has no desire for pleasures, is free from attachments, neither joyful in victory nor resentful in failure, withdraws the senses from the sense objects, he is courageous, steadfast, unenvious, has good conduct, and is well versed with the scriptures. He is firmly established in wisdom. This does not have any scientific basis. This was my personal choice, so I must apologize. There is no study supporting my slide, but I am very fond of APJ Abdul Kalam sir, like most of us are. He is near about an ideal personality. Ideal personality is an idealistic thing which we may only try to achieve, may not be able to achieve. So he is a modern A-guna personality. It is my personal choice. So it's not a scientific decision. But he has got many of the qualities of sattvic personality. Now, the best example of transformation, when we talk about personality disorders being not amenable to treatment or counseling, etc., we take it, yes, this is personality disorder, we can do nothing about it. But it may not be so, at least in selective cases. What happened to Valmiki? I think there is some dust particle I am allergic to here. There was a young man living with his wife and a child in the forest. He used to rob travelers, attack them to feed his wife and child. One day, the Saptarishis passed through that same way. Saptarishis are the 7 wise men, the rishis. He goes to rob them. Then the rishis ask him, why are you committing so much of a sin? What will you get by, are you not afraid of the consequences? He says, I have to feed my child and my wife, so I have to do it. But you are committing so much of a sin. He says, will your wife share the sin that you are committing? He says, definitely she will share, because I am doing it for her and her child. You go and ask her, we will wait here, you go and ask her whether she will share the sins that you are committing. Then you can rob us if you want. He goes to his house, asks his wife, I am committing so much of sin for you and your son. Will you share my sin? She says, why the hell should I share your sin? You are committing the sin, I am not committing. Then he feels very rejected and he comes back to the Saptarishis and then he says, she is not willing to share my sin. Then what is the way? Then they tell him, Mara. They say, just say Mara continuously. So he goes on, Ram, 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 Ram. Finally, after a few years, he becomes an evolved person unknowingly. He finds a dead bird shot by a hunter and its partner crying out of grief. Automatically, spontaneously, this dacoit uttered a shloka of grief, and then the dacoit transformed into a yogi whom we worship today. The whole world worships him as Valmiki, the author of Ramayana. So taking this example, we can have some hope that possibly personality disorders are also amenable. Maybe not all cases, but some at least are amenable to certain types of treatment. Hypothetical again. In conclusion, our nation is a treasure house of knowledge. 1000 years of foreign rule had nearly destroyed our culture. It is time that our scientists focus on our ancient concepts and promote them for the benefit of science and mankind. I call upon them to work in this direction and present papers that would bring recognition and glory to our national wisdom. Summary, we discussed the ancient theories, Indian theories and concepts, the theories of body-mind complex, namely the Panchakosha theory and the Chakra theory. We discussed the concept of self as the infinity. We also discussed the personality theory based on the gunas. We elaborated on the 3 gunas and listed the 16 types of personalities in the Indian literature and suggested the nirguna state as the paradigm in the study of personality disorders. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhakar sir. Thank you for that wonderful talk and very enlightening too. You have told us a lot of unknown things to us. Thank you very much. Since it's an oration lecture, there are no question answer session in this. I hand over the mic to the President for the other formalities.
Maybe if anybody wants to contribute some new idea, they can. Time on
Anyone from audience who want to contribute some of their ideas, they can contribute.
I congratulate my friend Dr. Prabhakar Korada for the wonderful exposition of Shankaracharya's knowledge and the chakras. I was just thinking about this koshas, what he was mentioning, the Pancha Kosha, Avali, Annamaya and all that. I've done a course in pranic healing. Pranic healing is an Indonesian saint, if I'm not mistaken, Kok Sok Sui. He's the one, similar to Reiki, wherein the treatment can be given and they cleanse the auras. So the picture which you had depicted on the screen, the different lines, and the last one being the complete bliss, which is mentioned as, which is a particular kosha. Vijnana kosha is the last one. The last.
Annamaya Kosha, first one.
Yeah. Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha.
Anandamaya Kosha is the last, innermost.
Innermost, outside one.
Annamaya.
Annamaya kosha.
Annam is food.
Yeah, which is the last one. So I think Annamaya is the inner one.
Annamaya is the gross physical body.
Acha, then what is the kosha, the outside kosha which you...
That is Annamaya Kosha. That is the gross physical
where
body.
you have the bliss, absolute bliss.
Bliss is deep inside.
Bliss is deep inside.
The core.
Acha.
Anandamaya Kosha. Once you cross all the external layers, go to the Annamaya Kosha.
But you had given it in circles like this, which sounded like, which looked like auras.
No, it's not an aura. It is corresponding. The gross physical.
It was like this, one line, another line on top.
Yeah, that is Annamaya. Yeah,
the last one was the fourth or fifth line.
From outside to inside, if you go, it's Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Jnanamaya,
yes,
and Anandamaya.
Yes, Anandamaya.
Anandamaya is the deepest
yeah,
most.
so people going at the highest level are very few.
No, that does not come under the chakra theories.
Not chakra, the koshas.
It does not come under Panchakosha. It comes under chakra theories. Chakra theories from below upwards you go.
Yeah, that is Mooladhara chakra, which you mentioned going up to Sahasranama chakra. Mooladhara and then all those chakras, seven chakras. But the figure what you had presented in this one was very typical for me in this aura. When we take the pranic healing course of a patient, what we do is we energize our palms. We energize the palms, and first of all we are able to get the energy, what energy level I have within myself. Each one's aura is different. And then with that, I am trying to physically keep a person in front of me and seeing his aura. For instance, Dr. Prabhakar's aura will be different from Dr. Rajesh's aura. And that will be different from Dr. Harihar's aura. Things like this. So it was reminding me about that. Secondly, I wanted to share what he was talking about Valmiki. I got this information today, very interesting one. Two people, one person goes to a prostitute. One person goes to a saintly place where he gets the knowledge from one village. So when they go, this fellow has a nice time with the prostitute. The other one has a nice time with the spiritual this thing. Both of them on the way back die. Simultaneously, same time. So when death takes place, Yamaduta also comes, Devaduta also comes. Yamaduta catches hold of the fellow who went to the Ramakrishna Mat. I mean, or in the sense to the particular saintly place. And the Devaduta takes this person who went to the prostitute in a chariot. So this fellow is stunned. He says, what is this you're doing? What is this I am the one who was actually gone to this temple, the spiritual talk, and you are taking me, dragging me like this and taking. So he says about the mind, what Dr. Prabhakar Korada was telling about the mind not being studied. He says you went there, but your mind has always been in different things, whereas that fellow has gone there for a stula sharira.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
This is an oration award.
Yeah.
So we can have all the
During
discussions during the dinner.
Because you mentioned if anybody wants to tell something,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
Yeah.
That's why I want to tell this.
Already it's
Yeah,
becoming late, so I think-
because he asked to, so this is because the concept of mind, what he was talking this time about the mind is not studied in psychiatry, in the sense of more prescription medication. So I just wanted to contribute to
so already it's becoming late.
yes, but then
So-
you have offered the mic to me, no?
It's
Then
okay,
why do you have to offer it? You should have rather not asked anybody. You could have immediately asked for dinner, isn't it?
Yes. Thank you,
very
sir.
much, Prabhakar.
Thank you.
It was only contributing more to your.
At the outset, I would like to congratulate the speaker. He has taken up a very big task and he has tried to complete. He has almost completed. I don't know whether I am a rare person, but probably many others would join me. Even if he had chosen 1/10 of the subject, it would have been difficult to understand. He has very comprehensively gone through the whole thing. I don't know, he must have been very bold to take up, or his knowledge is so much that he couldn't but do that. Hearty congratulations. One small doubt. I'm very hesitant to say that. The topic is Indian contribution. It is not Hindu contribution. I thought a person, probably two persons, at least Buddha is an Indian, I'm sure. And what is the other thing? I'm forgetting the name of the
Vedavyasa.
hmm?
Vedavyasa.
No, not Vedavyas. Vedavyas is a great thing. Like Buddhism, there is another Mahavir, Jainism. These two are also Indian, I suppose. And they have also contributed in their own way. And at least Buddhism has been accepted by many continents all over the world. It has a lot of following. It's not a criticism at all. So, sorry. Dr. Prabhakar Korada, you have done a great job. I'm only thinking from certain point of view. Buddha is known as the first cognitive therapist. And he has his own way of doing the things, but not that I know much about it. But another thing which I liked Dr. Korada saying is that Westerners have contributed a lot to the study of Indian perspectives. It is so true. It is so true that so many people from Germany, even America, all that have contributed. If we can read it, it is a lot of 10 times life consuming. They have done a lot and they have explained a lot. I think that's where I like Prabhakar Korada saying that Westerners have studied a lot. And regarding one small thing, there is one person, I don't get his name, he was in Denmark for a long time. There is a big study center there. He has worked there. He has published a book called Cognition of Cognition. I tried to read it. I read part of it. It is very difficult, but it is, I think it has a lot of depth. That's also an Indian thing. Cognition of cognition, the very right thing he has done it. Otherwise, Dr. Prabhakar Korada needs all the appreciation. He has, I don't know how much so much how he could put in a one oration. It could be made 10 orations or 6 orations. And he has also very fluently spoken Hindi, Telugu, the Indian languages and all that. He has lot of depth. I wish he will give some more lectures which I would like to attend. I'm sure he can take up a part of it and go to the depth of it so that we will get more. Now, for example, the whole thing was so much. How much we are carrying on is difficult to say. It's very difficult to. But he has completed the whole thing. The whole subject he has been given and he has done justice to it. But my mind is not able to do justice to such amount of contribution which he has done. I can't congratulate him more than this. I very heartily appreciate his presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Prabhakar.
Now I invite Dr. Phanikant to do the honors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful discourse. Now, memento distribution. Today's speaker, Dr. Prabhakar, sir. Memento. Memento, sir. Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
Now I request Dr. M.S. Reddy, sir, to give the memento to Harihar, sir, today's chairperson. I request Dr. Ashok Alim Chandani, sir, to give the memento to today's chairperson, Dr. Y. Nagender, sir. Now, memento distribution to office bearers of HPS. I request Dr. P.K. Chaudhary sir to give the memento to our President, Dr. Rajesh sir. I request Dr. Jagannath sir to give memento to our Vice President, Dr. Anita ma'am.
I would request Dr. Praveen sir to give a memento to our General Secretary, Dr. Fanikant sir.
Today, Ajay did not come, so only Joint Secretary is left. I request Dr. Ramana Chekuri sir to give the memento to Joint Secretary, Dr. Raghuveer. Now I request Dr. Raghuveer to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire gathering, I stand here with immense gratitude to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks for honoring and felicitating our esteemed Dr. Prabhakar Korada sir today. First and foremost, we would like to express our deepest appreciation to Dr. Prabhakar Korada sir for his invaluable service, dedication and expertise that he has selflessly providing to the community. His unwavering commitment to the medical profession has touched the lives of countless individuals, bringing healing and hope to those in need. We also extend our sincere gratitude to all the distinguished guests and dignitaries present here today. Your presence has added immense value to this felicitation ceremony and has made this occasion even more special. We are grateful to our organizing committee, HPS President Dr. Rajesh sir, our Vice President Dr. Anita ma'am, General Secretary Dr. Fanikant sir, and everyone involved in planning and execution of this event. Your hard work and attention to detail have ensured that the celebration is in a resounding success. Furthermore, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to all our colleagues, friends, family members who have supported and stood by Dr. Prabhakar Korada garu throughout his journey. Your encouragement and support have played a crucial role in his accomplishment. A special vote of thanks to Amicia Pharma for the generous contribution and support in making this felicitation possible. Your kindness and generosity are deeply appreciated. Last but not the least, a big thank you for all the attendees for gracing this occasion with your presence, your support and warm wishes, which have made this day truly memorable. In conclusion, let us remember that a doctor's role in society is incomparable as they are guardians of health and well-being. We salute their dedication and commitment to humanity, and we are proud to celebrate their achievements today. Once again, thank you all for joining us in this special felicitation ceremony. Your presence and support have made a world of difference. Let us continue to recognize and appreciate the contributions of our healthcare heroes and work together to create a healthier and happier world. Thank you. I would like to ask Samshuddin from Amicia Pharma to add a few words.
Good evening, one and all. Thank you for attending the meeting, and I request you to please have a dinner, sir. That's all. Thank you, sir.